Okay, well, we've moved on to messing with the charger. And if you can't tell from that, it needs probably both new CV axles, so I'm going to do the driver's side one because it's the worst. So, looks like to get that out, we gotta... Oh, there's the light. Looks like, because it's in the middle of the shock clevis, so I have to take it out, which means gotta take the sway bar off of it, and then we gotta take the tie rod off so that we can turn the knuckle, and we're gonna have to separate the upper ball joint. So, a lot of fun here. I started loosening that, nuts being a bugger, so I'm going to try tapping it with a hammer now to see if it'll come loose. But I think that's going to be the fun part there, is that nut there is rather rusty. So it'll probably come off, just, you know, that nut's never going to go on that axle again. Yeah, sorry I didn't get too much video of that. This thing was a complete bastard. The nut, the top of the tie rod's rusted pretty good, which I'm going to have to probably file it and clean that up. The nut looks okay, fortunately. Doesn't help that it was also a lock nut, but I made the mistake of cracking the taper loose before I got the nut all the way off. So I had to put the jack under there and basically lift this whole corner of the car on the bottom of the tie rod to get enough pressure on that so I could get the nut off. So don't do that. Alright, let's see if this comes off a little easier. Yep, same problem, that thing's spinning. Oh, at least there's a hex thing to hold it, but figures, can't use power tools. And I'm breaking out some of the good stuff for this nut now. I've struggled with the other two. Use some of the good stuff on there. And, well, that's probably too greasy to get any on there. Fortunately, these clevis bolts look okay, but we'll get some on it anyway, just to be sure. Coil's good stuff. Actually, it smells kind of good, too. Don't sniff it, kids. Bad. Alright, so now I've got... Oh, the pinch weld out. Got this big honking bolt on the bottom for the clevis. There we go. Now, so that means now that the clevis is loose. Oh yeah. This will come off. Yep. Oh. There we go. Alright, one step closer, so now I guess it's a good time to see if that nut will come off, because then we just have to separate the ball joint and pull it out. Well, that came off. I honestly thought that was going to be more of a struggle. Honestly, the nut doesn't look as bad as I thought it would, given how gnarly that looked. The question is, will the... Yeah, it's even loose. Call that winning. Okay, let's see if this works the impact. But last thing is the upper ball joint. Oh, wow, that worked. There we go. There we go. Whew. Come on, you're almost out, you bastard. There we go. There, just so that doesn't flap out of the way. So here we go. Axle is out of the hub. So now we just get to have the fun of getting the axle out of the diff, or immediate tube. Alright, so now we just gotta pop the CV out. This will be enough. Guess not. Hate these damn axles. Alright, we're gonna have to try getting a little creative here. So, block of wood. Won't quite fit. No, yes. And hammer. And that seems to have worked on the first try. Should have just done that first. One axle. Let's see, what does all this look like up here? Looks like there's a seal. A shaft that still turns smooth, so that's good. So, I don't know, let's take a closer look at this joint. Can't see it, but there's definitely some side-to-side play in the axle. So, yeah, it definitely needed a new one. See, one thing is I'm wondering how that metal's going to stay held up. I don't want to get all nasty and rusty. I'm kind of on the fence about maybe painting it. Alright, well, I did paint up the ends of the axles, and I think it does look a lot nicer now than the look seemingly bare metal that'll probably rust. Didn't paint the shaft because it didn't rust on the old ones, and honestly these ones look thicker, which is interesting. But I don't know. I can slide it in there without messing up all the paint on it. There we go. And now that it's in there, we need to do fun stuff of getting the ball joint separated again so we can get it in. This would make sense. Let's take that nut off. That off. And now, let's see. So now we get to just put everything back together. And axle nut and all that fun stuff. I guess these, they don't have any sort of locking washer. They got, they're peened over. Old one was the same. Honestly, I don't really like that the head of the hex part's not as large. See that? But, oh well. Well, everything is back together except for the axle nut. Clevis and everything's tightened up. Did find I need to replace the upper ball joint. It's got a little bit of slop in it. Everything else is good, so let's get the axle nut tightened up. Well, nice. That nut was peened over so much it tore up the threads. I know it wasn't cross-threaded either. What the fuck? Those are probably really sharp. Nice. Well, hopefully I don't have to take that apart again. Well, I had set the camera on time-lapse over here, recording this side. So far I'm only about half an hour into it, I already have the axle changed. Apparently the camera decided it had better things to do. So anyway, just like the other side, the tie rod was kind of stuff, so cleaned up the threads on it with the wire wheel, and I seized the nut. The only difference over here is you can't use a block of wood to hammer the axle out, because there's a differential in the way. So I had to use the pry bars and, put a little bit of force on it and go around a couple times, and it eventually popped out of that clip. Otherwise, everything else seems exactly the same. The ball joint on this side seems good, but I'll order both of them, which, of course, on this car, I don't think you can replace them separate. You have to buy a whole control arm. So I'll be buying new upper control arms for the front end. Anyway, I just got to put the tie rod and the sway bar and link back on, and axle nut, and we can put the car back together. Or we can put the wheel back on. The car will be back together then. Alright, so on this side, I decided to reuse the old nut because I didn't want it to completely ruin the end of the axle shaft. So I put the old one back on, and then I gave it a good whack with a punch on each little flat where it was peened over before to hold it tight. So we'll go ahead and put the wheel back on, and we will be good to go. Well, the car's all back together now. Wasn't as bad as I thought, but do gotta order upper ball joints now, or whole control arms. Don't want to forget to do that.